A December 17, 2024, Moscow. Pay close attention to what is about to happen now. A security camera captures the exact moment when an ordinary electric scooter turns into a lethal weapon, killing a Russian general in the heart of the capital. This was not a stroke of luck, nor was it improvised. 10 years ago, when Russia invaded Crimea and eastern Ukraine, Kyiv was completely defenseless. Its intelligence services were completely infiltrated by Russian agents, and its generals were fleeing to Moscow. Ukraine, well, it could only be bombed.
The new Ukraine.
Today, that same Ukraine hunts Russian generals in their own homes, using methods no one thought possible. But how did a country that was completely dominated turn into such a sophisticated elimination machine that it can even terrify the Russian elite? The answer begins in 2015. That year, something revolutionary happened in the basements of the Ukrainian capital. The American CIA arrived with a proposal that would change everything. Tens of millions of dollars, state-of-the-art equipment, and something even more valuable: intensive training in clandestine operations. The goal was, of course, to transform the security service of Ukraine, the Ukrainian Security Service, from an infiltrated and broken agency into a machine of shadow warfare.
Ryan Hillsberg, a former intelligence officer, SpyXCOM analyst, and director of corporate security at a biotechnology company. So that's a bold mission that the United States government undertook. It was valuable.
Hi, Jesse. Thanks for having me. You know what? This is something that is done normally with our liaison partners in countries that need our support. And a lot of the training that is provided, it's really some of the best training in the world.
That's when the 5th Directorate was born, a secret unit within the security service of Ukraine. Its mission was to conduct shadowy operations, so to speak. Things like sabotage, assassinations, everything that conventional warfare couldn't do. But here's the remarkable detail. Half of the security service of Ukraine agents had left the service in the previous years, 50%. Many were pro-Russia or simply didn't believe in the new Ukraine. It was a mass exodus and a new beginning. But how do you train assassins from scratch? The answer came in the harshest way possible. In real war. Between 2014 and 2018, eastern Ukraine became a living laboratory for this kind of operation. Each one of them was like a lesson. Each mistake, a lesson, and each success, a step toward perfection. The first big test for the Ukrainians came in October 2016. The target was Arsen Pavlov, known as Motorola. This man was a nightmare, a former Russian car washer who became the commander of the feared Sparta Battalion. He publicly boasted of having executed 15 Ukrainian prisoners of war with his own hands. He was the ideal target for the new 5th Direction, subtitles by the org community. On October 16th, he entered the elevator of his building in Donetsk, as he did every day. But this time, a bomb hidden in the elevator exploded. The explosion was so strong that it completely destroyed the steel cabin. Motorola died instantly. At the time, no one knew who had done it. The Russians blamed the Ukrainians, and the Ukrainians denied it. Some speculated Putin was cleaning house himself. It was deliberate, pure psychological warfare.
Arsen Pavlov became known for taking part in major battles against Ukrainian forces in the east of the country around Donetsk airport.
A few months later, in February 2017, it was the turn of Mikhail Tolstik, or Givy, another brutal commander famous for torturing prisoners. While he was working in his office in Donetsk, a Shmel thermobaric rocket went through his window. The explosion swept everything away. Givy vanished in flames and smoke. But the boldest strike came in August 2018. Alexander Zakharchenko was not just a field commander, he was the president of the self-proclaimed Donetsk People's Republic, the man Putin used as a political puppet. In a cafe in downtown Donetsk, a bomb hidden in a ceiling light fixture exploded. When he sat down, Zakharchenko was killed instantly. The message that Ukraine was sending there was quite clear. No matter how high you rise, no matter how many bodyguards you have, we can get to you. These three assassinations we just mentioned served as a learning experience for Ukraine's special operations. Each of these operations taught them something new. They learned how to plant explosives, track targets, escape from hostile territory, and most importantly, how to sow psychological terror among the enemies. Because when their own leaders start dying in mysterious ways, everyone else starts living in fear of being next. But those were just the first steps. The real leap came after the large-scale invasion in 2022. Ukraine was no longer improvising. Now, they had a doctrine, a strategy, and also technology that their enemies couldn't even dream of. Take the case of Stanislav Zitsky as an example. This man commanded the Russian submarine that attacked the city of Vinnytsia in July 2022. 28 civilians died, including 3 children. For Ukraine, Zitsky was a war criminal, and they knew exactly where to find him. The former commander had retired to Krasnodar in southern Russia. Every day he went out for a run in a local park. He thought he was safe. But he made a crucial mistake. Zitsky used the Strava app to track his runs. Every day, the app showed exactly where he ran, when he ran, and for how long. All the data from his runs was public for anyone to see. The Ukrainian agents spent months studying his patterns. They learned his exact route, his schedule to the bank, even where he stopped to rest. On July 11, 2023, a lone shooter emerged from the bushes. During his morning run, 4 precise shots. Zitsky ended up dying at the scene. But here's an important detail. The head of Ukrainian military intelligence, Kirill Budanov, later liked Zitsky's last run on Strava. Can you imagine why he did that? Pause the video and leave your opinion in the comments. I want to see if you know. That really served as a digital signature, a business card. But more than that, it was a direct message to all the other Russian officers. It was as if they were saying, no one is really safe, not even in their most everyday activities. But if you think that was impressive, wait until you hear about the bunker buster case. In November 2024, Ukrainian intelligence discovered that General Valery Soloshuk was gathering the entire staff of the 41st Army in a bunker, fortified in Kursk. Soloshuk was responsible for missile attacks that killed hundreds of Ukrainian civilians. For the Ukrainians, this was a golden opportunity. The response came in the form of 10 British Storm Shadow missiles. These are not ordinary missiles. They are specifically designed to penetrate bunkers. On November 20th, the missiles pierced the bunker defenses as if they were paper. The explosion collapsed entire sections of the structure. Soloshuk died along with 18 other senior officers, and 33 were injured. In a single operation, Ukraine decapitated an entire army. And the result, as you can imagine, was immediate. The Russian plans in the region collapsed. Without experienced leadership, their forces became confused and disorganized. The Russian advance towards Kursk stopped for weeks. Ukraine even managed to regain some of the lost ground. A precision strike had changed the course of the battle. Remember the video from earlier? This could be the most impressive case. That's because General Igor Kirillov was not just any man. He was in charge of Russia's nuclear, biological, and chemical protection troops. He regularly appeared on state television saying that the Americans had biological laboratories in Ukraine. But worse than that, Ukraine accused him of overseeing more than 4,800 chemical attacks against Ukrainian troops. To eliminate him, Ukrainian agents developed a plan worthy of Hollywood. For months, they studied Kirillov's routine. They discovered that he used an electric scooter to get around between his apartment and his car. They recruited a citizen from Uzbekistan named Ahmad Kurbanov, promising him $100,000 and resettlement in Europe. And they planted a hidden camera in a rented car to monitor the general's movements in real time. And they prepared a bomb equivalent to 300 grams of trinitrotoluene hidden inside the scooter. On the morning of December 17, 2024, everything was carried out with surgical precision. When Kirillov approached the scooter, agents in Dnipro, 1,000 kilometers away, were watching through the hidden camera. They detonated the bomb remotely at that moment. The explosion was so powerful that it shattered windows on the other side of the street. Kirillov and his assistant died instantly. This murder was not just an elimination, it was a declaration of psychological warfare. But this dark war in Ukraine is not limited to generals and commanders. They also hunt the brains behind the weapons. In December 2024, just a few days before the assassination of Kirillov, another target was eliminated. Mika Shatsky was the deputy chief designer at a company that manufactured the cruise missiles that rained down on Ukrainian cities. His projects included the Caliber missiles, among others. These are the same weapons that killed hundreds of innocent civilians. While he was walking through a park near Moscow, a shooter appeared out of nowhere, fired several accurate shots, and disappeared without a trace. Shatsky died on the spot. The impact was immediate. In the following months, the production of some types of missiles dropped drastically. Avogadro Avenue. The man who was improving these missiles' ability to penetrate air defenses had been removed from the equation. Other engineers in the Russian defense industry began to resign. Fear had spread. Ukraine doesn't forget traitors either. Ilya Kiva was a former Ukrainian deputy who fled to Russia after the invasion, seeking safety in Moscow. He appeared on Russian television openly calling for the death of Ukrainians and the destruction of his homeland. In November 2023, a Ukrainian court sentenced him in absentia to 14 years in prison for high treason. But Kiev had other plans. In December 2023, Kiva was found shot dead in a park near his home in the suburbs of Moscow. The Security Service of Ukraine claimed responsibility. The message was clear to all the other collaborators. Betraying Ukraine comes at a cost. But perhaps Ukraine's most impressive transformation is its technological revolution. When it lost most of its navy after the annexation of Crimea, Kiev was forced to innovate. The answer came in the form of naval drones. The Sea Baby, developed by the Security Service of Ukraine, is considered by many to be a marvel of engineering. It is 6 meters long, can reach speeds of up to 90 kilometers per hour, has a range of over 1,000, and can carry a warhead of up to 850 kilograms. These drones have turned the Black Sea into a nightmare for the Russian Navy. Coordinated attacks forced the Russian fleet to abandon Sevastopol and retreat to safer ports in the east. It was a strategic humiliation for a naval power that had dominated those waters for centuries. At the same time, Ukrainian military intelligence developed its own naval drone, the Magura V5. Smaller and more agile than the Sea Baby, it is specifically designed to target moving ships. Together, these drones rewrote the rules of naval warfare. Currently, more than 20 high-ranking Russian officers have been eliminated in these operations. But, as you can imagine, the impact of this goes far beyond that. The Russian military elite now lives in constant paranoia. Officers have deleted their fitness apps en masse. Russia is spending hundreds of millions extra on personal security for its commanders. Resources that should be going to the war are now being diverted to protect the leadership itself. Surveys in Ukraine show that 85% of the population supports these operations. For people who have lost over 13,000 civilians, seeing those responsible brought to justice, even in this way, is a powerful moral boost. Each successful attack proves that Ukraine is no longer a passive victim. Now it strikes back. But perhaps the most disturbing aspect of this shadowy war is its future. Ukrainian officials have explicitly cited the Mossad model as inspiration. Just as Israel hunted down those responsible for the Munich massacre for decades, Ukraine is planning a campaign of revenge that will last for generations. Any future peace agreement will not grant amnesty to those they consider war criminals. The hunt will continue. This is not just a story about the war in Ukraine. It's about how the very nature of war has changed. In a world where an electric scooter can kill a general and a running app can become a weapon, the old rules no longer apply. Ukraine has proven that a small country can terrify a nuclear superpower by using brains instead of brute force. Now I want to know your opinion. Do you believe these Ukrainian operations are an act of legitimate justice? Leave your opinion in the comments. If this content was helpful to you, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and share it with those who need it. Understand what is really happening in this war. See you next time.